Let's get straight into how exposed your own money actually is. This connects directly to everything we just uncovered about hidden losses. Uninsured deposits actually grew faster than insured deposits this past quarter. That means more Americans are holding balances above the protected limit. Uninsured deposits rose nearly 3% in just 3 months. That is a meaningful shift, and regulators are watching it closely. Here's something most people never think about with their own bank. Most checking accounts and savings accounts sit well under that limit. But business accounts, payroll accounts, and trust accounts often exceed it fast. If your bank fails and you're above the limit, timing matters enormously. The FDIC has said no insured depositor has lost money since 1933. That track record is real, and it matters, so stay calm. But uninsured amounts are a completely different story during a failure. During the Georgia bank failure earlier this year, some deposits exceeded coverage. That failure came after regulators had already flagged risky growth strategies there. A cease and desist order had warned about this exact pattern months earlier. Roughly $27 million sat above the insured limit there. Those depositors weren't wiped out, but they weren't made whole immediately either. They received advanced dividends while the rest got resolved over time. That process can take weeks, sometimes longer depending on the situation. Imagine needing payroll money and waiting on a resolution timeline instead. That is the real-world risk hiding behind reassuring insurance language. Now let's talk about why regulators are actually preparing for this. The FDIC's own chair has openly discussed changing failure resolution planning. He specifically criticized long, complicated failure plans as inefficient and slow. Instead, he wants faster, cleaner transactions when a bank does fail. Why would regulators prioritize speed unless they expect more failures ahead? That's not fear-mongering. That's simply reading between the lines carefully. Speed of resolution matters most when depositors are watching closely. Let's revisit the commercial real estate piece because it connects directly here. Office vacancy rates in major cities remain stubbornly high right now. Property values in some markets have fallen sharply from their peak. Loans written years ago now need refinancing at much higher rates. Smaller regional banks carry a disproportionate share of this lending risk. Large national banks are generally far more diversified across loan types. Community banks often concentrated their lending heavily into local real estate. That's a structural weakness, not just bad luck or timing. The concentration is exactly why regulators watch smaller banks more closely. Remember the 4 failures already recorded this year alone. That's already matching the total number of failures from last year. Most were smaller institutions with concentrated risk in specific sectors. That pattern is not a coincidence, it's a structural warning sign. Here's a rehook worth remembering as we move forward together. Keep this number in your head for the rest of this video. $325 billion in unrealized losses is not fiction. It's sitting on real balance sheets across real American financial institutions. Now, let's talk about what you can actually do about this. First, know your own numbers and check your total balances today. This takes 5 minutes and could save you real stress later. Add up everything you hold at a single banking institution. If you're near or above $250,000, take note. Consider spreading large balances across multiple separately chartered banks instead. This single step alone can meaningfully reduce your personal exposure. Each properly structured account can extend your total insured coverage significantly. Joint accounts, trust accounts, and retirement accounts can each carry separate limits. A financial advisor can help you structure this correctly and legally. It's worth a single phone call to confirm your setup. Second, understand the difference between your bank and your money market fund. These two products often look similar, but function very differently. Money market funds are not the same as FDIC insured deposits. They carry different protections, and it's worth knowing exactly what you hold. Third, pay attention to your bank's public financial health indicators. This information is public, and most people simply never check it. Publicly traded banks disclose capital ratios and securities losses regularly. You don't need to be an expert to check basic numbers. A quick search of your bank's latest quarterly filing takes minutes. Fourth, don't panic and pull everything out based on rumors alone. Panic itself has historically caused more damage than the underlying problem. Bank runs themselves can turn a manageable situation into a real crisis. That's exactly what happened in 2023 within days, not weeks. Fear moves faster than facts, and that's dangerous for everyone involved. Calm, informed action beats panic every single time. Stay informed instead of reactive, and you'll make better decisions. Let's zoom back out to the bigger national picture again. Everything connects back to interest rates and how they're set nationally. The Federal Reserve has kept interest rates elevated for a long stretch. That policy stance directly affects bond prices banks are holding. Every time rates stay high, existing bond losses stay locked in. Markets are now watching closely for signals on future rate direction. Any shift in Fed leadership or policy could move these numbers fast. Markets react quickly whenever new signals emerge from Washington. Treasury yields hitting multi-decade highs isn't just a headline, it's structural. It reflects real pressure across government borrowing and private lending alike. Higher borrowing costs ripple through mortgages, business loans, and bank portfolios. This is bigger than one bank or one sector by itself. It's a systemic pressure point building slowly across the entire economy. Here's a fact worth pausing on for a moment. It's a number that puts everything else we've discussed into context. Full-year net income across the banking industry topped $290 billion. That's a record, and it sounds like total strength on paper. But strength in earnings doesn't erase weakness sitting in the balance sheet. Both truths exist together, and that's the uncomfortable nuance most headlines skip. This is why reading past the surface headline actually matters here. Comment below and tell me if your bank discloses this information clearly. If you're learning something new, make sure you're subscribed already, because the next few minutes goes even deeper into what happens next. We'll cover historical parallels, regulatory response, and realistic future scenarios. This isn't about scaring you, it's about preparing you properly. Knowledge is genuinely the best protection you have in moments like this. Stick around, because the most important part is still coming. Banks are hiding $325 billion in losses right now. Nobody in the mainstream is really talking about this properly at all. I found this buried inside a federal regulator's own quarterly report. This is not a rumor, not a theory, not a guess. This is the actual number sitting on real American bank balance sheets. Before we go further, hit that subscribe button right now. Drop a comment below telling me which city you're watching from. And stay until the very end, because this story gets bigger. Now let's break down exactly what is happening inside the banking system. Stick with me, because these numbers come straight from official regulatory filings. At the end of the first quarter of this year, regulators released their report. Buried inside was a figure that should worry every single saver. Unrealized losses on investment securities hit $325.1 billion. That number jumped 6.2% in just one quarter. Read that again, because it went up, not down. This is happening while banks are publicly bragging about record profits. The industry reported $80.5 billion in net income. Return on assets climbed to 1.26%. On paper, everything looks calm, stable, and even impressive. But unrealized losses are the part nobody wants you to notice. Here is what unrealized losses actually mean for your money. Banks buy bonds and mortgage-backed securities when interest rates are low. When rates rise sharply, the value of those old bonds falls. The bank still holds them, but they are now worth less. On paper, that loss doesn't show up as cash gone yet. It only becomes real if the bank is forced to sell. That is exactly what triggered the collapse of two major banks. That happened in 2023, and it happened fast. Silicon Valley Bank held over $200 billion in assets. First Republic Bank held over $230 billion in assets. Both were forced to sell bonds at a steep loss. Depositors panicked, pulled their money, and both banks collapsed within days. Now that same exact pressure is building again across the system. Nobody predicted those two banks would collapse until the exact week it happened. That is what makes this current number so important to understand now. Split that number, and it gets even more interesting. $214.5 billion sits in one bucket. That bucket is called held to maturity securities on paper. The other $110.6 billion sits in available for sale. Held to maturity sounds safe, but here is the catch. If a bank suddenly needs cash, that safety disappears instantly. 30-year mortgage rates ticked higher again in March this year. Higher rates mean older bonds lose even more market value. This is not theoretical. This is happening on active bank balance sheets today. Let's talk about who actually gets hurt when this unravels. It is not the billionaires. It is regular working Americans with savings. People with checking accounts, savings accounts, and small business accounts. The FDIC insures deposits, but only up to a certain limit. That limit is $250,000 per account. Anything above that limit isn't automatically guaranteed. Small business owners often keep far more in one account. That means real exposure for real families and companies right now. Here's a fact that should genuinely shock you. Regulators also keep something called a problem bank list every quarter. Banks land on that list when their financial condition weakens noticeably. It is common for institutions to move on and off that list. But its very existence shows stress is present across the industry. 4 banks have already failed in America this year alone. That includes lenders in Illinois, Georgia, Indiana, and Kansas. Most were small, but the pattern is exactly what worries regulators. The Deposit Insurance Fund itself sits at $157 billion. That fund exists to cover losses when banks like these collapse. Growth of that fund was actually offset by unrealized securities losses. Even the insurance system meant to protect you is feeling this pressure. Stay with me, because the next part connects this to something bigger. Commercial real estate loans are sitting at roughly $3 trillion industry-wide. Many of these loans were written when interest rates were near zero, Now those loans need refinancing at rates several times higher. Office buildings sit half empty in major American cities right now. Landlords can't fill space, can't raise rent, can't cover payments. Banks holding concentrated exposure to commercial real estate face growing pressure. Regulators call this a slow-moving stress test. It never fully explodes, but it never fully goes away either. Meanwhile, the 30-year Treasury yield spiked sharply this year. That level hasn't been seen since 2007. That is not a small detail. That is a major warning sign. Higher long-term yields mean more pressure on bank-held bonds. Every basis point higher adds more unrealized losses to the pile. This creates a slow, quiet squeeze most Americans never even hear about. Banks are not collapsing today, but the pressure keeps building underneath. Think of it like a dam holding back rising water constantly. The dam hasn't broken yet, but the water keeps climbing higher. Regulators know this, which is why they keep monitoring it so closely. The FDIC chair himself has pushed for faster bank failure resolution planning. That tells you regulators are actively preparing for more stress ahead. You don't prepare faster failure plans if you expect zero problems. This is the part most people scrolling past will miss. Record profits and rising hidden losses can exist at the exact same time. That contradiction is exactly why this story matters so much right now. It's not about panic, it's about understanding what's really happening with your money. This isn't fear-mongering, this is simply reading the actual official data. Comment below if you had any idea this number even existed. If this is opening your eyes, make sure you are subscribed, because what comes next connects directly to your own savings account. We are going to break down exactly how exposed your money really is, and what you can actually do to protect yourself starting today. Most people watching this have money sitting in a bank right now. That makes this story personal, not just some distant headline you scroll past. This story is only getting more important from here forward. Stick around, because the next part reveals something even bigger. Let's talk about the historical parallel everyone should understand right now. This is where numbers turn into real lessons from the past. 2008 saw a full-blown financial system crisis unfold. Banks collapsed because of bad mortgage debt spread across the system. That crisis reshaped regulation, oversight, and how banks manage risk today. 2023 was different, but the trigger looked strangely familiar. Rising interest rates crushed the value of long-term bonds instantly. Two mid-sized banks couldn't absorb that shock and failed fast. Today's situation shares one key ingredient with both of those moments: rate-driven pressure sitting quietly on bank balance sheets nationwide. The difference this time is scale, timing, and regulatory awareness levels. Regulators learned from 2023, and that matters enormously here. They're watching unrealized losses, deposit concentration, and liquidity far more closely. That doesn't mean risk disappeared, it means risk is being monitored. Monitoring and prevention are two very different things entirely. Plenty of problems get watched closely right up until they explode. A regulator watching a problem doesn't automatically stop that problem occurring. Let's talk about what could actually trigger a bigger event. A sudden spike in interest rates could deepen existing bond losses. A wave of commercial real estate defaults could hit smaller banks hard. A major depositor panic, even based on rumors, could force quick sales. Any one of these alone might be manageable for the system. Multiple pressures hitting simultaneously is the real scenario regulators fear most. That's exactly the combination that took down banks in 2023. History doesn't repeat exactly, but it often rhymes uncomfortably close. Here's a rehook, because this number deserves repeating one more time. $325 billion sits quietly on bank balance sheets today. That's not a prediction, that's the actual current reported figure. Now let's talk about what regulators are actually doing about this. The FDIC continues releasing detailed quarterly data for public transparency. Anyone can access this data themselves, and it's worth doing. That transparency itself is valuable, even when the numbers look concerning. Capital requirements remain in place to absorb losses before depositors are hit. Stress testing continues for larger institutions across the banking system. Smaller community banks face less intensive testing, which is itself a gap. That gap is precisely why smaller banks keep failing more often. 4 failures this year alone, all at smaller regional institutions. The pattern isn't random, it's structural, and it's worth remembering. Let's bring this back to something practical for you personally. Here are simple steps that actually make a real difference. Diversifying where you bank isn't paranoia, it's basic financial hygiene. Treasury bills, backed directly by the federal government, are another option. They offer safety outside the traditional banking system entirely. Certificates of deposit at multiple institutions can also spread your risk. Even a modest amount of planning here reduces your exposure meaningfully. None of this requires drastic action or panic-driven decisions. It simply requires awareness and a few smart, deliberate choices. Here's something worth remembering as markets shift in coming months. Interest rate decisions from the Federal Reserve will keep mattering enormously. Every rate decision ripples directly into bank balance sheet health. Watch for language shifts in official statements about future rate direction. Those shifts often move markets before the actual decision even happens. Commercial real estate refinancing waves are also worth tracking closely. Many loans mature over the coming few years, not decades away. That timeline puts real pressure on smaller banks holding concentrated exposure. Keep watching quarterly banking profile releases for updated unrealized loss figures. Mark your calendar, because these reports drop like clockwork every quarter. If that number keeps climbing, treat it as a serious signal. If it stabilizes or declines, that's a genuinely positive development worth noting. Numbers like this tell a clearer story than headlines ever will. That's exactly why understanding the data yourself matters so much. Let's close out with the core truth of this entire story. Everything we've covered boils down to one simple, honest point. Record profits and hidden losses can absolutely coexist within one industry. Both are true, and pretending otherwise does you no favors. Your money is likely safe, especially if you're under the insured limit. But safe doesn't mean risk-free, and awareness costs you nothing. Understanding where your money sits is simply smart financial behavior. It's not about fear, it's about being informed and prepared. The banking system has survived stress before and adapted afterward. It will likely survive this stretch too, with proper oversight. But surviving doesn't mean nothing changes along the way for depositors. Smaller banks may keep failing at a steady, watched pace. That's likely the pattern for the rest of this year. Larger, diversified institutions are generally built to absorb more shock. Knowing that difference helps you make smarter decisions with your money. This is the kind of story that rarely trends for long, yet it affects nearly every single person watching this video. It's quiet, it's technical, and it doesn't scream for attention. But quiet numbers like this often matter more than loud headlines. If this video actually taught you something new, that's the entire point. Understanding your own exposure is more valuable than any prediction. That single habit will serve you well beyond this one story. Nobody can perfectly predict the next bank failure or market shock. That uncertainty is exactly why preparation matters more than prediction. But everyone can control how prepared they are when it happens. That's the real takeaway from everything we've covered today. If you found this valuable, make sure you're subscribed right now. Drop a comment telling me what topic you want covered next. I read every single comment, so tell me what matters to you. Share this with someone who still keeps all their money in one place. Real talk. Most people have never thought about this until now. This channel breaks down real financial data without the hype or noise. New videos come out regularly covering markets, banking, and your money. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. The next breakdown could directly affect where you keep your savings. Thank you for watching this entire breakdown from start to finish. Seriously, most viewers don't make it this far, so thank you. Stay informed, stay diversified, and stay ahead of the next headline. We'll see you in the next one very soon.